This is a message for Senator John C. Astle. Senator Astle, my name is Ryan Hanley, and I was born and raised in the same Davisville house my entire life. I'm currently in my junior year at Harvard College of Massachusetts and studying abroad this semester in Sydney, Australia, which is where I'm actually addressing you from. Last fall, I requested my absentee ballot for the 2010 elections and, as a resident of your district, District 30, proudly voted for your re-election. In so doing, I entrusted you with my rights, which is precisely why I'm reaching out to you today. Mr. Senator, just like so many other Marylanders and residents of Arundel County, I'm gay, and I ought to be entitled to all of the same rights and protections that all other residents of this great state are entitled to. This week, your chamber is scheduled to begin debating a bill that will bring marriage equality to Maryland. Right now, it seems likely that the bill will pass with or without your support. So why am I even reaching out to you? The fact of the matter is, regardless of whether or not the bill passes, your noticeable lack of support for it has been extremely disheartening, Mr. Senator. Not only for me, but also for many of your other constituents. We elected you to lead, not to stand on the sidelines and gauge the political climate before choosing a side. The issue of marriage equality, and more broadly lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender rights, is not a political football that can simply be punted around and tossed from politico to pundit. We're all sick of fair-weather politicians who supposedly support our rights and fight for them, but only when the timing is politically expedient for themselves. As you debate with yourself whether to speak out in favor of my rights and my friends' rights, the rights of so many other people, the words Star Trek and Android echo throughout your Senate chamber, comparing my love and the love of my friends to a sci-fi romance between a human and a robot. And while those ridiculous words may make some laugh, my community and I experience on a daily basis what the motivation behind such words really means and feels like. We know what it means to grow up your entire life being told by your society and your government that you are less than. We know the pain of being turned away by a hospital in search of a loved one, or by one's parents in search of love, or in search of a home. We know the electroshock therapies, the aversion therapies, the ex-gay ministries, things you may tell yourself are isolated or of another time, mere relics, but that both our testimonies and our scars attest to otherwise. We know bullying and we know suicide, not just on the playground by children looking to boost their own self-esteem, but also by religious leaders, by political leaders, by anti-gay activists, all adults, but all looking for exactly the same boost. And at what cost? Even someone like me, blessed as I am with an amazingly loving and accepting family and group of friends, I know what it feels like to internalize an entire 21 years of being told by society that all of these things, that all of the hate and the violence and the discrimination are not only okay, but downright appropriate and fair and justly fitting for someone like me. The last time I wrote you, Senator Astle, I was in 7th grade at the Key School in Annapolis, I suppose I didn't write you directly, but we did a project in my civics class where we were supposed to write and design our own bills, and our teacher, Chris Lord, sent all of the bills to your office. My bill was about creating a system by which repeat drunk driving offenders were required to have their cars equipped with an interlock system, which would require the drivers to pass a breathalyzer test before being able to start the car. You sent me a letter in reply, and though I can't remember exactly what it said, I do remember how thrilled and optimistic I was about the political process at that moment. That activity in that class sparked in me the desire to pursue politics as a career. For 6 years, I wanted to be president, although in the back of my mind, I always wondered how exactly that was going to work out since I was gay and am. Entering Harvard brought me into a world inundated with other teenage politicos, much more concerned than I was with networking and creating connections, and I began to move away from the world of politics and campaigns and elections and moved toward the world of activism, especially following the passage of Prop 8 in California. I helped to co-found a grassroots LGBT advocacy group in Boston called Join the Impact MA, and found myself simultaneously more and more passionate about fighting for rights that I had only recently claimed as my own, and increasingly turned off and discouraged, and at times depressed, by the vitriol that seemed to be coming from every corner of our society against myself and my friends. Despite that vitriol, I find hope today in our great Maryland leaders, from the likes of Governor O'Malley and Attorney General Gansler to Senator Kittleman, your Republican colleague who has pointed out, rightly of course, that our government is not a theocracy and that he must and that he will stand up for the rights of all of his constituents. I find hope in my loving parents, siblings, family, and friends, and I find hope in my generation and those who will come after me. It was 8 years ago, when I was 13 years old and back in that 7th grade civics class, that we debated controversial issues like abortion and gun control, and yes, even marriage equality. To all of us as 13-year-olds, it was a no-brainer. How is a ban on same-sex marriage any different from a ban on interracial marriage? How could something like that be fair, let alone constitutional? And why couldn't all of these adult politicians just figure this out already? Here we were 13-year-olds and we knew it. 8 years later, all of us 20-somethings are wondering the same exact thing. Mr. Senator, anyone who knows me, even for 5 minutes, could tell you of my love for Maryland. It is the greatest state in the country, and I'm always the first to let people know that. Growing up in Davidsonville and Annapolis and going to high school at DeMatha in Hyattsville, I've come to love every area and aspect of Maryland, from crabs on the South River and Navy football games, to the Metro and the Beltway, to our farmers, to Camden Yards. I couldn't be prouder of Maryland. Unless, of course, we do pass marriage equality and continue to fight for full equality for all Marylanders, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity. Together, we will be able to prove to the country that Maryland is above the hate and discrimination that is all too common throughout our society today. Senator Astle, I'm urging you to vote yes on the marriage equality bill, but more importantly, I'm urging you to get off of the sidelines and fight for my civil rights. The bill that you've been too hesitant to speak out about means so much to so many people. It is about equality and respect and fairness, and it doesn't just affect my community or myself, but also our families and our friends, and really the very fabric of what we want to call a just society. The road toward equality is long, and it will only bend toward justice if we fight to guarantee that it does. At the end of the day, Mr. Senator, it won't be your constituents, myself included, who judge you on this issue, but rather it will be history and your own conscience. I ask you today, which side do you want to be on? Thank you for listening, Mr. Senator. My name is Ryan Hanley. I'm a resident of Davisville, Maryland, District 30. You can email me at rhanley, rhanley, at fas.harvard.edu. rhanley@fas.harvard.edu. Thanks again for listening, and I really do hope that you find the right side of this issue.